The psychology of taking everything to heart. Why sensitivity becomes suffering and how to regain emotional steadiness. Some people do not just hear words. They absorb them. A comment lingers. A tone echoes. A look is replayed. A silence becomes meaning. Taking everything to heart is not weakness. It is heightened emotional sensitivity combined with an untrained mind. This pattern is common among thoughtful people. Empathetic people. People who reflect deeply. But without emotional boundaries, sensitivity becomes suffering. Today we explore the psychology of taking everything to heart. Where it comes from. Why the mind personalizes everything. How this habit forms. And how Stoic wisdom and psychology together restore inner calm. This is not about becoming cold. It is about becoming steady. Part 1. What taking everything to heart really means. Taking everything to heart means internalizing external events. It means turning neutral situations into personal judgments. A short reply becomes rejection. Feedback becomes failure. Someone else's mood becomes your responsibility. Disagreement becomes dislike. Psychologically, this is personalization. The mind assumes that events revolve around the self. This is not arrogance. It is emotional over-identification. The inner dialogue becomes, what did I do wrong? Why did they say that? What does this mean about me? Stoicism teaches that most events are not about you. Psychology confirms this. Yet the emotional mind resists this truth. Part 2. Why the mind personalizes everything. The brain seeks meaning. When something feels uncertain, the mind fills the gap. Silence is uncomfortable. Ambiguity feels unsafe. So the mind creates explanations. Unfortunately, it often chooses self-blame. This happens because self-blame gives a sense of control. If it is my fault, I can fix it. This is less frightening than accepting uncertainty. Psychologically, people who take everything to heart prefer certainty over ambiguity, even if the certainty is painful. Stoicism teaches acceptance of uncertainty. This reduces emotional suffering. Part 3. Early conditioning and emotional sensitivity. Many people who take everything to heart learned early to monitor others. They grew up in environments where mood mattered, where approval felt conditional, where emotional safety depended on awareness. The child learned, I must pay attention. I must not upset. I must read the room. This develops emotional intelligence, but also hypervigilance. Hypervigilance keeps the nervous system alert. The adult becomes sensitive not because they are fragile, but because their nervous system learned survival through awareness. Stoicism does not dismiss this. It trains it. Part 4. The role of empathy. Empathy deepens connection, but without boundaries it deepens pain. Empathetic people feel emotions quickly. They resonate with tone. They absorb atmosphere. This creates understanding, but also overload. Psychology shows that high empathy increases emotional contagion. Stoicism teaches selective engagement. Not all emotions deserve entry. Empathy must be paired with self-containment. Part 5. Overthinking and emotional replay. Taking everything to heart fuels overthinking. The mind replays conversations, analyzes words, dissects expressions, revisits moments repeatedly. This is not reflection. It is rumination. Rumination keeps emotion alive long after the event. Stoicism teaches focus on what is present, not what has passed. Psychology shows that replay strengthens emotional memory. Letting go is not forgetting. It is redirecting attention. Part 6. Why criticism hurts so deeply. Criticism threatens identity. When self-worth is externally anchored, feedback feels dangerous. The mind hears, "You are wrong. You are lacking. You are not enough," even when the feedback is mild. Psychologically, this is ego fusion. Identity becomes fused with performance. Stoicism teaches separation. You are not your outcomes. You are your character. This separation creates resilience. Part 7. People-pleasing and emotional absorption. People who take everything to heart often seek harmony. They avoid conflict. They smooth tension. They prioritize peace. But peace without boundaries becomes self-erasure. People-pleasing increases emotional absorption. You carry others' reactions because you believe you are responsible for them. Stoicism teaches responsibility for self, not for others' emotions. Psychology shows that responsibility must be limited to remain healthy. Part 8. The fear beneath sensitivity. Beneath taking things to heart is fear. Fear of rejection. Fear of abandonment. Fear of being misunderstood. Fear of losing connection. These fears are human, but when unexamined, they control behavior. Stoicism teaches courage through acceptance. You can survive disapproval. You can survive misunderstanding. Recognizing this reduces emotional intensity. Part 9. Why silence feels threatening. Silence invites interpretation. The mind fills silence with meaning. They are upset. They are judging. They are withdrawing. This happens because the mind dislikes not knowing. Psychologically, silence activates uncertainty intolerance. Stoicism trains tolerance for uncertainty. Not everything requires interpretation. Some things simply exist. Part 10. The cost of taking everything to heart. Constant emotional absorption is exhausting. It leads to anxiety, fatigue, self-doubt, withdrawal, loss of clarity. The mind becomes cluttered. Stoicism values simplicity. Reduce internal noise. Reduce emotional load. Peace returns when not everything is processed personally. Part 11. Stoic wisdom on emotional distance. Stoicism does not reject emotion. It rejects unnecessary suffering. The Stoic observes impressions without surrendering to them. Someone speaks. An impression forms. The Stoic pauses. Is this true? Is this useful? Is this mine? Most things fail this test. Distance is not indifference. It is discernment. Part 12. Learning not to personalize. Not everything is about you. People act from their own fears, their own stress, their own limitations. When someone reacts, it reflects their inner state more than your worth. Psychology supports this. Stoicism reminds you, you control response, not perception. Part 13. Building emotional boundaries. Emotional boundaries protect sensitivity. They allow empathy without absorption. A boundary says, I can understand without carrying. I can listen without internalizing. I can care without self-loss. Boundaries create space. Space creates calm. Part 14. How to respond instead of react. Reaction is immediate. Response is deliberate. Pause before interpretation. Pause before judgment. Pause before self-blame. Stoicism calls this the gap between impression and assent. Psychology calls it regulation. This pause is power. Part 15. Retraining the mind. Change requires repetition. Notice when you personalize. Label the pattern. Redirect attention. Ask, is this a fact or a story? Is this within my control? Does this require my energy? Most thoughts dissolve when questioned. Part 16. Emotional steadiness. Steadiness is not numbness. It is emotional balance. You still feel, but you do not drown. Stoicism aims for tranquility, not excitement, not intensity. Calm becomes the default. Closing. Taking everything to heart means you feel deeply. This is not a flaw. But without discipline, depth becomes burden. Stoicism teaches that sensitivity must be governed. Psychology teaches that awareness creates choice. When you stop personalizing everything, something shifts. The mind quiets. The body relaxes. Clarity returns. You remain kind. You remain aware. But you are no longer controlled. And in that steadiness, peace becomes possible.